From the Bent Pixel Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Phone Booth Fighting, a twice-weekly podcast covering the world of mixed martial arts and so far beyond, brought to you absolutely free by a couple of fine sponsors that we're going to talk about here in just a second. First of all, the particulars. My name is Richard Hunter.
And I'm Frank Mir.
One of us is the two-time UFC heavyweight champion, currently competing as a contending heavyweight in the Bellator organization, and the other one of us can be
two-time world Reno funniest man of the year.
Funniest comedian in Reno, that's right, as named by the Reno News and Review.
NAGA silver medalist.
That's true, too. And can also be seen performing regularly at the LA Comedy Club inside the Stratosphere Hotel and Casino. So up to you to figure out which is which. We've got a spectacular UFC 225 to recap. We got some other headlines we're going to talk about. First of all, Frank, let's tell everybody about the folks that enable us to bring you this podcast absolutely free. First of all, a big thank you to lowtnation.com. Lowtnation.com is the internet destination where more and more phone booth fighting listeners week after week after week are flocking. If you're male, if you're getting a little bit older, maybe you're in your late 30s, maybe you're getting up into your 40s, maybe you've lost a little pep in your step, maybe you're slowing down just a little bit, putting on a little bit of weight, maybe a little less muscle definition. If any or all of the signs that I'm talking about tend to point to the person you're seeing in the mirror, then you need to go to lowtnation.com, call the telephone number for a free consultation. It's very quick. It's very easy. It's absolutely free. If you are a candidate for the treatment, they are going to put you in touch with a local lab in your area, no matter where you live throughout these United States. And what happens from there, Frank?
Well, at that point, you get poked with a really big needle.
No, that's not.
It's a little needle. It's a little.
No, it's the opposite of that. Yeah. Nobody's poking anybody.
Okay, so you go there and get your blood work done. There's a blood draw, and there is a little bit of needles involved.
Oh, you mean at the lab? Yeah, I thought you meant that Low T Nation just shows up at your house and
can you imagine just jab you?
They don't do that.
It's like Professor Duck, you know.
Right. So you make your one-time
visit. You go down there, you
lab.
make the visit. They go ahead and they pull the blood, have your labs done, which you should be doing on a regular basis,
True.
At least once a year anyways. They're going to evaluate your hormone level and different areas too. They're very good about that. Not just the hormones, but different B vitamins, different things in your system. They're going to know where you're at and see what's required to bring you up to speed, to make sure that all your efforts and for your workouts, for your energy levels, for your mental focus, all these things are paramount to having a right balance. And so right there at Low T Nation, they know how to take care of that, bring you up to your utmost where you should be. And then once it's prescribed what you need, the best part about the whole thing is it's sent directly to your house. You don't have to leave. You don't have to go see your doctor once a month or once a week and go get any kind of injections or scripts filled. Once you're in, you're in. And at that point, I think they evaluate you about once a year again just to make sure that everything's on board, that they're having the prescriptions are done properly.
The results speak for themselves, and we have heard from one listener on top of another on top of the next, heralding the results that they have gotten from lowtnation.com. You can be next. Go to lowtnation.com, call that phone number, get that free telephone consultation, and go from there. And be sure to tell them that Frank Mir and Richard Hunter over at Phone Booth Fighting sent you. This podcast also, Frank, brought to you by Ellefson Coffee. Our buddy Dave Ellefson, the bass player in Megadeth, has his own coffee label. It is ellefsoncoffeeco.com. That's the website. If you're a fan of coffee like we are, and if you're a fan of hard rock, certainly like I am, then Ellefson Coffee Company is a match made in heaven for you. ellefsoncoffeeco.com. Go online there, see all of the signature roasts they have, many of which are musically affiliated. A couple of bands like Queensryche, they've got their own roast over there. Skid Row, they've got their own roast, and so forth and so on. Dave is a real aficionado of roasting coffee, and this was a passion of his for a long time. He is a world traveler. He's had the best coffee all over the world, and he brought all of that expertise into his coffee label. If you go to ellefsoncoffeeco.com, that's ELLEFSON coffeeco.com, and enter the promo code PhoneBooth, you're going to save 10% off your entire order. Now, that's on the coffee, that's on the thermoses, that's on the coffee mugs, even the
beans.
The chocolate-covered coffee coffee beans. They call them the
We need more
atomic
beans.
rocks that Frank is a big fan of. It's all.
Fan, I'm a crackhead.
I know
What are you talking
you
about?
exhausted our supply. Now we got to get some
Did you
more.
see the one time before the fight where he's like, okay, I'm only going to give you this much, and just like he had to ration them out to me.
Yeah, well, you were on. Yeah,
I was eyeballing his backpack and shit. And I was
That's
like,
right.
all
We were having
okay.
to-
I know they're in one of those fucking pockets right there. You know?
we were having to watch your weight. It was leading up to the weigh-ins. Well, what you can do is go to ellefsoncoffeeco.com. Use that promo code Phone Booth. Save 10% at the checkout. Support our show, Phone Booth Fighting, and also a great guy and a personal friend of ours, Dave Ellefson of Megadeth. ellefsoncoffeeco.com. Promo code Phone Booth at checkout. All right, Frank, so we're going to talk about UFC 225. Now, as we speak, this is interesting. Literally, as we are taping this, Donald Trump is meeting with Kim Jong-un in Singapore for their summit. And really, what we're doing here is it's kind of like we're doing a North Korean summit fight companion. I mean, this is happening as we
Do you know
speak.
you actually made me not train jiu-jitsu tonight because of this?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? This is actually kind of, I mean, not to be, hyper paranoid. I'm a paranoid individual. But when you made the joke about like, hey, the end of the world, shit could go down. I'm like, yeah, actually, you know what? This meeting could, ruffle some feathers. People can get kind of crazy. I'm like, let me make sure that, I'm not too far away from my more
The loved ones.
efficient firearms to help protect
that,
the loved
yes.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Mikey.
Hey.
By the way, Mikey's back in the producer's position. I had told Frank earlier, I said, the summit is going to be going down the exact same time we're taping, so I just wanted to make sure that he was okay with potentially spending his last moments with me as opposed to his family. So here's the video of it, by the way. There they are meeting in Singapore. It's morning over there. And they're... Donald Trump is saying something to Kim Jong-un. He's just sort of smiling. They don't have the translator right there. Oh, it's like a face-off. It's like weigh-ins.
Yeah, look.
Yeah.
Okay, double bicep pose.
Yeah.
Most muscular.
Yeah.
No? Nothing.
And off they go. They're going to sit down and have
Do it
their,
again real quick. Can I
meeting
see the
now.
beginning of it? Because I was.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike, cue it up again there, Mike.
I'm always curious about, I'm obsessed with nonverbal communications and
Oh,
body
yeah.
language and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah, let's get another look at this. You can give it since it is like a fight companion, you can give it your breakdown. All right, blow it up there big.
Trump won the handshakes action.
Okay. So here they come. What are you seeing here, Frank? He went hand on arm?
Yeah, well, actually, Trump's actually in a shitty position.
Yeah.
You want to be on the left to the viewers when you go to shake someone's hand.
Oh, pause it.
Right
Okay.
now, Trump is actually in a shit position.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, because if they go ahead and hold, like if Kim Jong-il wanted to be a cock,
Yeah.
he easily could have taken the opportunity right now to fuck him. And I think Trump's smart enough, is obviously he's a high, powerful, businessman. He grabbed his elbow to make sure they didn't rotate on each other.
Oh, that's what I thought it was. He was going for an arm drag.
But that keeps me from rotating. Watch, like, here, we'll do this real fast.
Okay.
Take out the headphone.
Okay.
For the fans at home, they can watch. This is what you do for shaking hands. So,
All right, now I'm in. Okay, so I'm coming from Trump's side.
so like right now, if we're shaking hands, the audience is over here.
Yeah.
I'm in a position of authority right now.
Okay,
Are you watching?
Can you hear this, Mikey? Are you picking this up on the mic?
I'm in the position of authority because I'm on, if the fans are looking over at us, I'm on the right, their left-hand side. So when we go to shake hands, if all of a sudden I turn towards the fans real quick, turn towards the camera. Look how dumb you look. I'm Big Brother right now. I got my hand on your back.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is my kid. I'm
Yeah.
the fucking man here.
Yeah.
There's not a lot you could do about that because
Right.
we're connected here.
Yeah.
And if all of a sudden we go ahead and fan towards the audience,
Yeah.
how do you not look dumb? We
Right.
can switch roles.
Right.
It's not a size thing. It's nothing else.
Right.
We go to shake hands. Like I would, if I knew the audience was here,
Yeah.
I don't shake hands with people.
Oh, okay.
Because I know that if we go to shake hands,
Yeah.
you turn towards the audience, look
Right.
at me now.
Right.
I'm your little brother. Here
Yeah.
I go. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
you're
there's not
right.
a lot I can do.
Yeah.
So to prevent that, if I'm screwed and I know that I'm shaking someone's hand, and the people over here that I want to impress or keep any kind of a resemblance of authority, we go to shake hands. I do the elbow catch because now try to turn me. You go and reach over. Now it's like, no, I'm not going to let you drag me over there.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. That makes sense.
So, and actually, where are they?
They're in Singapore.
Yeah, I think that obviously Kim Jong-il got to pick on what side he came off.
Well,
the
do you
stage.
think this is because Donald Trump is so right-wing, he would never enter from the left of the stage?
He should have entered on that side.
Yeah.
Because like right now, if Kim Jong-il faced the crowd,
Yeah.
and just kept that grip. And how do you break a grip without looking like a complete dick?
Yeah.
I mean, like, as strong and as skilled as I am, if you want to hold my hand, unless I do some kind of fucking, I ain't getting out of it, without, looking silly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, what I was anticipating was maybe, the arm drag and then trying to take the back.
Because right here, all you do is you go for my neck now. You reach up, put your hand on my shoulder.
Oh, right.
And now I'm your little brother.
Oh, yeah.
How is this? I mean, look, Mikey, I cannot look masculine right now.
Yeah.
The only way I found around this is sometimes if I go here and I miss your elbow, now you go to hug me, I pull the wrist and then I'll come and do one of these.
Right.
But this looks kind of weird with a suit on.
Yeah.
So this can work okay in street clothes.
Yeah.
But if we have suits on, if I go ahead and, bend the wrist so I can break the hand.
Right.
It's the only way I know how to do it. Now, you reached up, so just like in fighting, you reached, so now I have the underhook, so I can grab the waist.
Yeah.
And now I can pull you in and regain the masculine look. Now, you look kind of funny with your shoulder up.
Yeah, my suit's going to be all bunched up.
But we both look stupid.
Yeah.
In reality.
There were no winners.
No. So at that point, it's like, all right, kamikaze, we're just both going to go out.
Yeah. Wow. All right. I think that alone was more preparation than has been put into the summit, from what I understand. Now, maybe.
But I mean, he has to have guys. I mean, one of the people that I have a book off. I'll show. Well, I think it's also on my my Kindle. FBI agent, a Cuban guy, and that's who I learned a lot of this stuff off of. Just looking at it and the whole, just 50% of what you say is actually body language. Like when I'm talking to somebody, you're actually reading people's body, their emotions, their physical demeanor. Then it's actually kind of like the tone of their voice, and then like I think I might be messing up the exact details. It was like 12% is actually the context of what you're actually saying. A lot of it is tone and excuse me, and a lot of volume of voice. Even so more than of what you're saying. And some guys, I mean, like the first guy I ever noticed who was a master at that was John F. Kennedy. Live, not live, but some video that I got to see, and the way he spoke. They always talk about the shortening the words, going out there. Abraham Lincoln made that famous for how he spoke, short, concise, verbal communication with his body, mannerisms towards the crowd.
Yeah, it's this. The
Trump's left hand is down. He could have completely got had right there.
Can't really make out what they're saying.
Maybe that just shows the kind of control he has over. I mean, Kim Jong-il was 32 years old?
34.
34? Yeah, he didn't try to turn it all.
Yeah.
And then see the touch on the back of the shoulder, the point in the direction, like right there. That's a big brother move.
Yeah,
just even
leading.
right there. I see. I led you. I touched your elbow. I touched your back. I pointed. Those are different ways of starting to commandeer who's the boss in this room right now.
Yeah.
But the first, like I said, just the fact that they're walking out that way, he really was open. He won the exchange, but man, that was a tactical error as far as whoever his press people were. Preparation, they put him behind the 8 ball. He got himself out of it being as slick as he is, but
You know what I miss here is Joe Rogan not interviewing both of them briefly to find out what we can expect.
They should have went shoulder, forehead to forehead.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, the plan is for them to meet face to face for 45 minutes. As I understand, it's happening right now, and then at approximately, I think it's 1 a.m. Vegas time, Trump is expected to speak to the press about whatever was discussed. Now, in the room is only Trump, Kim Jong-un, and a translator for each one of them. No aides, nobody keeping a record, which is a little nerve-wracking because you can see a situation where somebody could come out and we have 2 recollections of something that were said that differ.
I think that's exactly why they did it, though.
Could be, exactly.
It's 100% why they did it. Now they can have a conversation. Both guys are going to come out that they won the conversation.
Right.
Kim Jong-il will tell his individuals back home that he schooled the old fat guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Trump's going to come out being like, hey, I went ahead and showed little baby boy Kim what was up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Little
What's that, Mikey?
Man.
I said Trump can say he schooled the young fat guy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Trump's leaner than him. In fact, I should have just reserved that completely for little budgie boy.
Well, now the typically what will happen, I would say typically, because this is atypical. I mean, it's kind of unprecedented. But in terms of like, especially any adversarial leaders meeting, is whatever they're going to agree to has already been worked out.
Yeah.
And there's reporting that has happened in this case too. That by Mike Pompeo going over a couple of times and working through some things, that whatever they're going to announce, and they'll announce something that has already been agreed to, so that this is more of just like a face-to-face photo op. But the thing is, I think what is
This
going.
is like king and queen stuff. You know what I mean? It's not the real.
But what
this is completely for show
Right.
for us at home. This is the crown.
and
This
them.
This is a royal
and
wedding.
And the North Koreans as well. But now, I think what you can really measure, though, is whether or not, if they are going to announce anything, whether or not that is going to include any kind of inspectors. Because it's like the problem is North Korea has burned us before, promising to do things and not doing them. And then the other thing is North Korea, one of the things they're going to go for is trying to get us to pull troops out of the region, out of South Korea, out of Japan. And
Well, I know we're having some issues with China too, because over the one island, as far as
and also this is a great opportunity.
that island that we've been arguing about, or not us, but I think that Japan and South Korea and
Yes, and this is a great opportunity for China because this puts them in kind of more of a brokering role, because they're the ones who have been the conduit to North Korea at times. So this is helping to sort of elevate their status. Here's the risk reward. The risk is that you're giving this dictator like level status, like just the fact that we're putting the American flag next to their flag,
and that's
that
what
they're
they
appearing
want.
together. Right. That's a big win for them. Now the that's the risk. The reward is that we're able to get some sort of agreement with them. And I'm no Trump fan, but it's to me it's always better to talk than it is to fight. So in theory, I'm not saying I'm not on board with this idea, but it's what's going to really matter in the end is what they're able to get out of it in terms of not only promises from the North Koreans, but backing that promise up, in inspections, things like that.
And I think we actually do get those inspections because honestly, I think when this was all, when North Korea shot that missile over Japan, I got nervous. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know what? In my lifetime, there actually might be some ICBMs being thrown around. Like, holy shit, this actually might happen. Like, you'd have asked me that 5 years ago. I'm like, that's never going to happen. It's a Mexican standoff. There's going to be no winners. But so I kind of, and I knew how powerful the U.S. military was. I've always understood that. But then I started looking up facts. In fact, maybe the next time we come out, I'll pull up some of the websites I went through and I can show you. We can post them up there. But there was numbers there that showed you that basically our Coast Guard, their Air Force, the planes on the Coast Guard would be the 13th largest Air Force in the world. Like it was astronomically there is no chance in hell that North Korea would even last 30 minutes against us in a fight.
Yeah.
Even China can't last against us. You know what I mean? Like, China has so many people. I'm like, yeah, but we outnumber them as far as heavy machinery, 10-1. They were talking about there's 30 of these naval carriers, super, that launch all the things. I forgot the name of it now. I'm totally slaughtering it. But there's we have 18 of them, and there's 8 for
Oh,
the
you're
rest.
talking like aircraft carriers.
Yeah, aircraft carriers. So the rest of the world shares 8 of them. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and that's why the concern about retaliation wasn't necessarily, if something happened with North Korea, wasn't necessarily against the United States. It was against South Korea.
Yeah, and I think that's almost kind of more of a threat, though, as far as it's okay, South Korea, you're going to go, or North Korea. The people in charge, are you really going to sit there and go, well, you know what? Fuck America. We're going to go ahead and screw you guys over. We're going to fight back. We're going to show you. And if you fuck with us, we're taking out South Korea. It's okay, but you're still going to die. That's one of those things. If you walk into a room, there's very few people. I mean, there's obviously those very crazy ideologies, those kamikaze types, and some very extreme versions of the Muslim thought, Islam, that has those individuals, but they're always the stupid 18-year-olds. You don't get 45-year-old kamikaze guys.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of 40-year-old suicide bombers because they're not young, dumb, stupid guys that are easy to manipulate, get them high, or make promises, right?
Yeah.
So these individuals making these decisions and thoughts, they're full-grown men. And if you walk in the room, it's okay, you could do this, but you're going to die. It's well, shit, I don't really like that idea.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'll destroy this, and this. I'm like, that's fine. I'm still going to live. You can kill all my friends, but you're going to die. I think that's why that once I started looking at that, I'm like, all right, they can't win. And the idea that, yes, we could take out, South Korea, which is an ally, possibly Japan, even as far, going up we maybe get to Hawaii, okay, maybe. It's like, yeah, but you're still going to die. None of your people are going to exist. It'll be a big fucking hole in the ground. That makes me think it's like any kind of face that they save. I think that we just kind of almost like, I think we're that big brother that allows the little brother to sit there and go, I won that exchange, right? We're even. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, we're even, everybody. It's close. Laughing under our breath going, it ain't even. Oh, wait, no, we didn't allow those inspectors in there. It's like, yes, you did. We just go ahead and tell everybody you kicked them out. But we got to see what we wanted to see, because if you don't, you're going to die.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have been little brothered up to this point because they're not given a seat at the adults' table. The risk of this is that it's kind of like you are big brothering him, and at the same time you're saying to him, okay, little brother, now you're a man. Now you're here at the grown-ups table.
But I think that's all they really want.
Oh, I agree. I think that is exactly what they want.
And then now it's like, okay, now you can sit there, you have your little regime, the people in power, obviously people don't want change. They're, the people that have it good in North Korea, they have it good. Obviously the people that have it bad, we've seen from the individuals that escaped how fucking bad it is. And it's horrible, and I would like to, shit, man. At the end of the day, all human beings are human beings, regardless of the color of your skin, creed, whatever. I don't like to think of people suffering in that way. I would like if we could do something about it. I mean, one thing for sure that I know has to be addressed is North Korea, some kidnapping motherfuckers.
Yeah, and that's Japan's big concern.
Yeah,
that's what Japan wants addressed. And see,
if you kidnapped one of my citizens and I was in charge, I'm sorry, but it's one of those things where it's almost kind of like we're all at the park having a barbecue. I don't want to get into a fight with somebody because guess what? The barbecue's going to come to an end. Police are going to show up. Possibly someone's going to jail. It's going to ruin the day from what I want to do. I want to hang out with my kids, hang out with the wife. I want to eat food. We're going to have a good time. But if you come up and you spit on my wife or my child, I have to break your fucking arms. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, guess what? I didn't want to do this, but if I don't hurt you badly, the next guy might think that he's okay to do it too, and then it's going to escalate. You have to nip shit in the bud. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, you know what? This sucks, but it's a very logical response. And so if someone were to take, that's one part about Japan. It's like, hey, if you really think that they took your citizens, there's only one recourse. I mean, hey, talk. If that's stalled out even more than a week, it's like, look, you can't keep one of my people. We're talking days. We're not talking weeks, months, years, hours. I'm going to be counting hours. And if hours go by and you're not giving them back to me, shit's going to hit the fan.
Well, and that's another important aspect of this is that Japan is an ally. So we need to appear concerned about their plight at the same time.
And guess what? I think that's South Korea, or North Korea, excuse me. They have to give that shit up. I mean, there's certain things, hey, they want to abuse the fuck out of their citizens. Again, it's horrible. There's that's still women, children, and men, fucking all equal rights, right? Sucks. But, the whole crossing lines and taking another group of people, there's certain things where you just draw a line in the sand. And I'm a very flexible, I think the world is 99% gray. We've talked many times. I could see things from different angles and be like, well, yeah, in this situation, maybe not. But that's one of those, like, it's like, hey, someone touched your child? Yeah, you got to kill them. You know what I mean? Or they're going to have to suffer very badly. It's like, well, you might go to jail for a couple of years. Well, you know what? Shit has to go.
Well, and we'll see if anything, like I said, the visits from Mike Pompeo leading up to the Secretary of State, they would have worked out. Anything they're going to announce tonight, they would have worked out then. And hopefully it will be something substantial.
You're nervous because Trump really does have the authority to override all that shit.
Yes, and here's the other thing, too. If all the, I don't really need to prepare for this, Trump said today, I'll know in the first minute how this is going to go. And he said, how are you going to know that? And he said, well, my touch, my feel. That's what I do.
Yeah, but
now,
you gotta differentiate
if all that's
what Trump
bluster,
says to the masses.
Yeah.
Trump is a genius when it comes to speaking to the masses. You have to give him that. He knows how to manipulate America, the masses, the U.S., the majority of people. If he didn't, he wouldn't be our president right now. He wasn't backed by the Republican Party.
Yeah.
No one, I mean, come on. The guy fucking won everything with nobody helping the guy out. You know
well,
what I mean?
I agree with you that he does know how to market the. He knows how to market the concept of bravado over preparation.
I mean, he says things that, again, he's saying those things to the masses. I don't think there's as much truth to it that, that you get nervous about. You're like, well, I think he's really doing it. Like, I don't think so. I think
I worry that there is. So it's like, and even if it is, even if I'm right, then as long as nothing bad comes of it, like, let's just get through this unscathed. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're the guy, if I'm married to you and you're the guy who's known to say inappropriate things, if we can just get through the dinner party and I can be on the ride home going, you know what? That wasn't too bad. We showed up with me, but nothing bad got said.
Actually, on a side note, and maybe I'm just out of the loop because I travel so much. His Twitter hasn't been too crazy lately, has it?
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
Has it?
It's been pretty
maybe
crazy.
I'm just, maybe it's like what they say, like the frog in the water.
Yeah.
I'm just, it's not that bad.
I worry about things like thinking that you're one-upping the Canadian Prime Minister by pointing out the fact that his people burned down the White House in the War of 1812.
I forgot about that. That's just, didn't that happen like 2 days ago?
Yeah, it's a couple days ago.
Yeah, the same people that helped support us during 9/11. Wasn't it Canada that made the one of the deciding motions to go, hey, we need to make sure this is an act of war?
I don't know about that. Like at the UN or something?
Yeah, at the
maybe.
UN. I think Canada was one of our strongest voices. In fact, when it happened, another thing I saw that was being explained, and I saw it from different sources, that at that time, Canada grounded all their flights to make sure that any of the flights that we had to, detour, reroute, they had available, landing fields and airports to sustain. In fact, one town I was reading, held up to 7,000 U.S. citizens at the time, to help out.
Oh, right. Yeah, here's the thing. In reality, I think it's never cool not to know stuff. Now, if you're using that as part of your vibe or your image or whatever, like the fighter who says, "Oh, I don't watch tape." I do what I do and I show up.
Like I don't work out. I'm just muscular.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well.
Well, but here's the thing: if you've really got that skill set, great. Like Cowboy Cerrone, that's a fighter who says, "I don't watch tape on other people," and that's okay because when he shows up, he really knows how to fight. So if that's true, but don't ever be the guy that says that and then shows up and you look at it and you go, "Oh, that person really didn't have a game plan. Like they meant it." You know what I mean? They showed up and figured they just figure it out as it went. Like I don't want to do that on the international stage. So let's talk some fights. Pull up those highlights because UFC 225 was fantastic this weekend, Frank. I can't remember. I told Mikey, I can't remember the last time that I saw a pay-per-view card where all the main fights went to decision. And I thought it was a fantastic card. Normally, that's a recipe for kind of lackluster.
Yeah, almost always.
Yeah, but this one was different. Just pull up. Is this like everybody or what?
There's a clip for each fight.
Go to the main event. Let's start with that. Robert Whitaker gets a split decision over Yoel Romero, 48-47 across the board. This fight, Frank, was the opposite in a lot of ways of the way their first fight played out. The first fight, Whitaker... or rather, Romero had won the first couple of rounds, and then Whitaker took the last three. In this fight, I had the first 2 rounds going to Romero. Now, what he did was he fought a more cautious fight in those first couple of rounds. He fought like he fought Luke Rockhold, where he came out kind of caged up, Well,
he's trying to conserve what he knows naturally. That. And again, I keep pointing that out. It's not, I hate it when people are like, oh, that guy doesn't, he needs to train more, hit the road. I'm like, dude, the guy can hit the road all he wants. His anaerobic and aerobic capacity are only going to be so high. And one way that he's learned how to to deal with that was in the Rockhold fight is to, okay, I'll conserve energy, and because I know I have a very finite amount of my output.
I also think that Romero had a lot more respect for Whitaker's takedown defense in the second fight after going through the first fight where he wasn't able to work that out as well. But he dropped Whitaker. Not only did he drop Whitaker a number of times, he had him damn near finished. And it was an incredible effort by Whitaker to hold on. The fifth round was also, in my opinion, clearly Romero's. The one that was in question was the fourth round, I guess, and I had Whitaker winning that, but to me it wouldn't have been a robbery either way. Romero's right eye. He got jabbed in the right eye. It didn't appear to be a particularly powerful punch, but he got jabbed in the right eye, and I don't know if I've ever seen an eye swell basically shut that quickly. It was a matter of seconds when it happened, and they did a good job in between rounds of getting the swelling down. But still, for a large portion of the fight, it appeared that Romero really couldn't see a whole lot that was coming to his right side.
Yeah, and that's difficult because if you get a hook thrown that way, I mean, they're hard to see when you have two good eyes. But you start messing up your, not only does it mess up the width of your field of vision, but also depth perception is extremely thrown off when you only have one eye. I mean, if you close one eye, your depth perception goes out the window. Your ability to evaluate and judge distance and how far something is and how fast it's coming towards you. So to remove an eye like that, then you have to start going off of more of your instinct of seeing when a guy's shoulder turns, when his weight comes forward, and knowing that, okay, well, most of the time that formula of motion will lead to a strike coming here, and your body hopefully responds accordingly. But, fighting with one eye is extraordinarily hard.
Well, I had Whitaker taking this by hair, but honestly, this is a fight I'd need to watch over again. You know those fights where it's like, okay,
because they're exciting at some portions. Sometimes you forget, I was like, wow, the guy didn't win that round, but one round might be so big that it influences you. I remember the first time. A great example of that was when the very first time was it Roy Jones when he fought Tarver, and everybody was like, "Oh, Tarver got robbed." But if you went back and looked at it, it was like, not really. It was that Jones won more rounds, but they were just more quiet victories. He would win a round. It's like, all right, he won that round, but it wasn't static. And then Tarver would catch him or something. It would be much more of a dramatic round. So as far as judging it as an overall fight, people feel like, oh, that guy's winning. It's like, yeah, we got to remember, guys, it's a 10-point based system, based round by round. So if I'm winning more rounds than you, even if the rounds you're winning are more heroic, you're not winning the overall fight.
Yeah, the other thing I'd like to do, I'd like to watch it again and see if I see any rounds that would qualify for the new 10-8. We're supposed to be giving out these 10-8s more liberally now under the new scoring system. There were no 10-8 rounds scored in this fight.
When I want to watch with John, maybe.
Yeah, it would.
That'd be kind of cool. Maybe we could do a fight compilation next time. Rewatch an old fight, like this one, or one that's close, with McCarthy, and then at the same time will help us understand the scoring system.
That would be a good idea. Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll tell you, and here's, I think, the best thing you can say about this. First of all, the second fight was better than the first. It's not often that the sequels, are better than the originals. The other thing is, Whitaker's won the first two. I absolutely want to see a third. Yeah. To me, that is the hallmark of a really classic fight when you've got the same outcome in the first two fights and you go, when can we do a third? When can we do this again? Because it was that close.
Whitaker probably. No, fuck that. Let's put that guy at the back of the bus.
Well, that's funny because Rogan asked him about that in the post-fight comments, and he didn't say it the way you said it, but he did look at him like, I don't know, man. I think he kind of laughed. You watched it, right, Mikey?
Yeah. Plus, he broke his hand. And,
and
the last time he blew out his knee fighting Romero, so I think I wouldn't fight. I mean,
he'd have completely busted right hand,
I think
couldn't throw it.
Very intelligently, Whitaker's going to go, that's a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Very easily, if I fight him again, he might beat me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a close victory this time. and he has it in the record books. It's like, look, I got 2 wins on this dude.
Yeah.
Until he goes ahead and cleans out all the contenders, fuck that. I don't want to have to face him again. It really does put a lot more pressure on Yoel to have to make sure that, like, all right, you're going to have to smash 1 through 5, where it's like, all right, well, there's no one left. You got to fight Yoel again,
Yeah.
Well, Yoel missed the weight again, right? So
he did. He was off by 0.2 pounds, so that title was not on the line for him. I don't even know what was going to – if he would have beaten Whitaker, I don't know if the title would have been vacated. I think Whitaker would have just retained the title.
Yeah, no, in that situation,
lost, right?
It's completely not up.
Yeah.
Unless they did this one differently, but in the past, from what I understand, when it's a non-title fight, the title you can't lose the title.
Right, right. Yeah, he missed again. All right, well, let's go to the co-main event. Colby Covington gets a unanimous decision over Rafael dos Anjos, 49-46 on one of the scorecards and 48-47 on the other 2. This fight, Frank, was, Covington out-wrestled RDA, sure, but he did it in a really swarming fashion. I mean, in the sense that a lot of for
that was a nice knee.
Yeah, a lot of
open up the line.
For an aggressive wrestler, a lot of the fight, or maybe more of the fight than you would expect, was also contested on the feet, but with Covington applying pressure. One of the analysts, actually, I think it was Rogan, actually had an interesting way of putting it. He said it's kind of like watching a Diaz brothers style if they were wrestlers. Yeah. So the way they're constantly pressing you, never really having you in danger of being finished, but just you can't get them off of you. You can't get them out of your face.
And I really like how, even here just a little bit, you could see how Covington is very good at using his body motion. Like, he uses his body. He doesn't throw arm punches because he flings with his head motion. So it does 3 things for him. 1, it generates power. 2, it moves his head offline for return firepower, coming back. See there how he moved off. And then because you see how he shoots on the hips with his shoulders that way, it disguises his shots. So sometimes when he slips and throws the punch, it looks like he's throwing a left hook the way he throws it. Other times he throws it, but then it loads and moves him offline and sets him up for his takedowns.
Yeah.
So he really does have a very good style that just it fits together very well. See, again, how he's moving his head, boom, 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 and throwing punches at the same time.
Well, Covington is now the interim welterweight champion.
He has that bad habit that I have. Jesus, fuck, I hate that. See how when he throws some punches, he looks down at the ground? Because sometimes, very early on in my striking, career, you're taught to protect your chin.
Yeah.
And now I'm a fucking firm believer, the fuck protecting your chin, protect the back of your head. Because when you duck down like that, there's 2 fights down a row where I've gotten clipped behind the ear, and that is way worse than any shot I've ever taken on the chin.
Yeah.
So he's exposed to that. See right there when he drops, sometimes he throws the punches. Right there, see how he looks down, it's like, that's fucking, he's exposing the back of his ear that way to make it to where now if Rafael had thrown a hook, it can very much easier catch the back of the head. And not only is it the hand, but the forearm. Like, when Hunt hit me with a punch behind the ear, he caught me all knuckle. It was his hand. I thought he was throwing a head punch. I ducked right into and he threw it, fucking K1 champion. He aimed, he knew from previous exchanges what I was going to do. I created a pattern and he fucking capitalized on it. Fucking gold medal, man. Fuck it. Fedor, not so much. Fedor we were in a firefight and he threw, but because I ducked my head forward, I caught the forearm on the back of the head. Forearm's fucking all bone, not padded. That's even fucking worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, useful information there on that tell for Tyron Woodley because it looks like that's where we're headed now to unify the welterweight title. Woodley, Covington had unkind things to say about Tyron Woodley, as is his gimmick, and then Woodley bought right into it like he was Brazilian, and which is fine because you know what? We talked about Tyron Woodley in this issue before. This is exactly the kind of opponent that Tyron Woodley needs to market a big fight. Because
and good on Covington, because that's difficult, especially nowadays. Social climate, making disparaging comments about a Brazilian and insulting the nationally.
Yeah.
it could still be taken the wrong way, but it doesn't. I don't think we're going to have any human rights groups, picketing because of the ethnicity of Tyrone Woodley.
Yeah.
A much tighter line you're going to have to, as a white guy, making statements. In any kind. You can't go that route. You can't do any kind of background racial type of statements because it just, the U.S. now is so politically correct. It won't be viewed as I'm trying to build up a fight. They're like, no, you're not.
I'm excited to see Covington and Woodley because first of all, that's going to be a high caliber wrestler that Covington is facing in that scenario. And the other thing is too, a bigger opponent. RDA is a guy who's moved up from lightweight. Up to this point, he was undefeated as a welterweight. But in Woodley, you're going to be talking about a bigger opponent, somebody that's not going to be as easy to push around. Feature bout. Holly Holm gets a unanimous decision over Megan Anderson. Two judges gave a 10-8 round to Holly Holm. It was 30-27 on one judge's scorecard and then 30-26 on two others. And the story of this fight, Frank, was Holly Holm on the ground. She looked improved.
She's hurt right there.
Yeah, she looked improved.
That was kind of her one shot.
Yeah, we don't see Holm on the ground a lot.
And she gets stunned. Boom. She ducked into that knee, caught the elbow. She balanced herself off the cage. Great composure, but that was a good shot from Amanda.
Megan Anderson. Yeah. I mean, Anderson had her moments earlier in the fight, but look at this. Once Holly got her to the ground, I mean, she had full mount a couple of times.
And look how, as a jiu-jitsu expert,
yeah, right,
you could just look at people and go, man, for even just like right now, I didn't see this fight, but the 3 or 4 seconds I just saw right there, Megan sucks on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't have a lot on the ground.
You can just see the way she moves. It's almost like, the equivalent of you watch a guy walk into a bar, you're like, oh, he's had too much to drink.
Yeah.
The human eye, you could pick it up immediately.
Yeah, I mean, once Holly got her to the ground, and particularly the time she got full mount, Anderson just didn't look like she had.
She had the Kimura there. She wanted it.
Yeah, she just didn't look like she had a lot of.
Had an arm choke.
Now, this was one thing interesting about Anderson, being a legit 6 feet tall.
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass.
But you throw those big legs up, I mean.
Easy to circumvent. I mean, that's one of those things that, like, you're rolling with somebody and you're not aware that they're able to do that. They might catch me once, but once I'm aware that you have the flexibility or the length to reach up there, there's super easy adjustments as far as where you lock up on the hips to make that impossible. Where you pull the head, control the chin. It's like, go ahead and flip your legs up. I'm going to crush your lungs for it.
Yeah. Remind me of a couple of weeks ago when I was on the receiving end of the James Horn body lock. That wasn't very fun. That sucked.
Horn's a little anaconda, right?
Yeah.
Not little, but
we just got those big giant legs.
Yeah, and he could touch his fucking toes to his face.
Yeah, I know. Like Ron Jeremy back when he was young.
Was it his toes? Was it the toes?
Anyway, so, a big win for Holly Holm. I mean, she was a big favorite coming into this fight, but just the fact that she looked as evolved as because this was a different way of winning for Holly Holm. And I think it was cool to see her be able to do this. Now, Holm is a fighter who can move from bantamweight to featherweight. Now, Anderson is going to be a featherweight fighter. I think we see her in the UFC again, certainly if for no other reason, but the fact that it's a shallow division. But I don't know how well she would necessarily fare against Cyborg. But maybe before that, we start talking about a rematch of Holly Holm and Cyborg because that was a close. I mean, I didn't have any doubt that Cyborg won that fight, but Holly did go the distance with her, and it was competitive. It was certainly more. I mean, just the fact that she went the distance, and the fact that when the score was read, that you felt like it had been a competitive fight. I mean, I'm reaching here for opponents.
Honestly,
for
like
Cyborg,
right now at this point, you got to get Amanda Nunes.
Yeah.
That's the
super fight.
That's the fight. That's really honestly as far as weaponry, athletic ability, power, grappling ability. I think Nunes actually has a decent chance against Cyborg. I think that she hits hard enough that Cyborg has to respect. I think Nunes hits extremely hard. She's a very powerful puncher. I don't think she has the muscle mass, obviously, that Cyborg has, but she has longer levers almost. It's like her reach, the way she's built structurally, I think that she hits almost equivalently as hard. And I think she's a much better jiu-jitsu expert. If they were to have a role right now, I would actually bet on Nunes. But, obviously Cyborg just carries so much weight and she's so powerful. And, a very good striker too. So as far as what I've seen in the girls division, I mean, maybe her. I mean, honestly, this was the one shot to have somebody for the UFC to have go against Cyborg to articulate a fight. Now you have Holly winning, who I don't know anybody else really clamoring to see that fight again because it wasn't like it was close. I mean, it wasn't a blowout, but I thought it was very. You
weren't on the edge of your seat when the decision was read. I got you.
No, the way she was peppering her with her jab and completely controlled her, I was like, oh no, I mean, this fight's not going anywhere. About the third round, I was like, okay, it's barring a lucky shot. Cyborg is going to win this easily, and so just Cyborg just sucks. She's just, I mean, it doesn't suck for her, I guess, in that sense, where you're just so dominant of an athlete in your division that she's basically almost cursed, kind of like how Johnson is. They're at 125, where it's like you're just so good, it almost kills your money. TJ or DJ, he's just. Same situation, man. You're just so good when you beat everybody else, and it's not even close. It almost kind of like loses its excitement. People kind of want. I mean, fighting is exciting because it's the unknown factor. There's rivals you can get behind. When you have somebody who's just so dominant like that, and then that's what really, Cyborg's in a situation where it's like, shit, man. I mean, unless we start allowing her to fight men, I don't really see a competitive fight at this point for her.
Mighty Mouse has his next fight made, by the way. They announced that during the broadcast. He will rematch Henry Cejudo in August in L.A. as a co-main event.
How come the Dillashaw fight didn't work out? I know we had a baby, but then now why didn't the fight work out now?
Well, I guess because they're rematching Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt. So, because that was a fight I think a lot of people wanted to see again.
Yeah, that's a big fight. I mean, that's, I think, a better situation for Dillashaw.
Yeah.
Because he's not having to cut down to 25. Right. And I think it's still a super exciting fight and, still a very dangerous fight. I mean, if they go fight again, I don't know who I'm betting on. I mean, I think it's, between him and Cody, they might fight each other 100 times and we have 100 different outcomes, as far as, who wins and how they win,
Yeah.
But for Demetrius, he needed Dillashaw to come down. I mean, I was with everybody else, and with him included, that I didn't think that they should have had him fight his record-breaking title defense against TJ because I thought it overshadowed his accomplishments that he's earned over. What was it, 13 title defenses at the end? It's like, no, that in itself is the narrative of this fight, and he ran away with it, Phenomenal performance. He hit that, whatever he calls it, the mouse trap. Or no, that's something we haven't seen yet, right?
Yeah, he still hasn't shown us the mouse trap.
Whatever he did with basically the mat return suplex to an armbar midair, that was crazy shit. But then I thought immediately afterwards it should be the Dillashaw fight. He needs that. I mean,
he needs it to be elevated to legit main event pay-per-view status without any real support needed. Like even this fight, I think with Cejudo is going to be a co-main event.
It will be.
If you put Mighty Mouse,
Cejudo's not a barn burner either. I mean,
he's already got a win over him too. Yeah. So it's like if you put Mighty Mouse and TJ in a main event, you could sell that as a legit pay-per-view main event. And I think we'll get it. I think
TJ does well on selling. He's good marketing. I mean, like I said, it's just that. Well, like I said, the fact that TJ and Cody fighting each other, there's nobody can make a strong argument why either guy for sure is going to win. It's like, oh man, it's hands down. Cody's going to regain it. Like, really? I don't know, man. And flip side, you couldn't sit here and look me straight in the eye and tell me, hey, dude, 100% TJ is going to retain the title against Cody. It's like, I don't know, man. I mean, those two are pretty evenly matched as far as abilities. But when it's Demetrius, it's like, he's going to win. It's just when and how, you know, like it loses the dramatic fashion. And on top of that, it just, he's such a nice guy. He's not the villain. So it's not like you're watching because you want to see him lose. You know, it's just like.
Well, back to UFC 225. The heavyweights were in action in the number 2 spot. Undefeated 9-0 Tai Tuivasa taking on somebody you fought, Frank Andre Arlovski. Tuivasa gets a unanimous decision over Arlovski, 29-28 on all 3 of the scorecards. I think I gave this fight to Arlovski. This is one I would like to watch again because it's probably just by a razor-thin margin. But Tuivasa had trouble with Arlovski's boxing in this. Now, Tuivasa had finished all 9 of his fights by first-round KO. So he had never he'd never seen a second round, let alone a 3-round decision. And he got busted up pretty good. Arlovski really was able to establish his boxing. This, to me, was a testament of how hard of a shot Tuivasa can take, how much punishment he could take, even against an accomplished boxer like Andre Arlovski. So it did a couple of things. It proved that Tai Tuivasa, I think, belongs legit in the UFC's top 10, that he's got a strong future ahead of him. Mm-hmm. It was by far his biggest test. But I think it also showed that he's not superhuman, that, somebody like Arlovski could take big shots from Tuivasa and actually use, in Arlovski's case, his superior boxing technique to frustrate Tuivasa. If Tuivasa has championship aspirations, eventually he's maybe going to have to do this for 5 rounds and not just 3. So here's some of the highlights. Arlovski goes in ranked number 9. Tuivasa comes in ranked number 12. I would assume that this win is going to elevate Tuivasa into the top 10. He got his nose busted up pretty good too, Tuivasa, in this fight. So here we go. There's Tuivasa dropping Arlovski. There's Arlovski dropping Tuivasa. And, by the second round, Arlovski had really kind of established his boxing. One of the better boxers you faced, Frank? Arlovski, what do you think?
Man, I've faced so many great fighters.
Yeah, you do remember fighting him, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Sometimes. Great footwork. I think probably one of the better footwork.
Okay, right.
Oh, what's the word? How do I explain that? I had some of the best footwork of anybody I've ever faced. Mm-hmm. For heavyweight, Arlovski just bounces well on his toes.
And see these exchanges.
In and out movements,
and see on the in and outs, Arlovski's winning the combination battle.
He's very good at that.
Yeah, Tuivasa can land a shot, but you're trading Arlovski, maybe 2 or 3 for your 1. You can see Tuivasa's nose busted up pretty good there at this point. Yeah, Arlovski winning the combo battles every time, in and out.
Yeah, shit, man. From what I've seen in the highlights, looks like Andre won this fight.
This is another one that I'd like to go back and watch again because I had Arlovski winning it, but, when 3 judges have the exact same score, 29-28, and it's not the way you scored it, I'd give Tuivasa another look here. But as I said, can't remember the last time that main card, and also the punch stats were real close on this fight too. Can't remember the last time that I watched a main card, all 5 fights go to a decision, and I thought it was just a spectacular card. Now, what maybe wasn't so spectacular, and we got to talk about the fight that kicked off this UFC 225 main card, was CM Punk in his second fight taking on Mike Jackson. Now here's the good news. For CM Punk, he went the distance all 15 minutes. He loses the fight 30-26 across all 3 judges' scorecards. So he was on the short end of a 10-8 round. This fight, Frank, was, Dana put way more of the blame on Mike Jackson, and I agree with him here in the sense that these 2 guys came in 0-1 professionally. Punk had never had an amateur fight. Jackson had had one amateur MMA fight, but he also had a couple of boxing matches. So he should have, look at this right here. He was a superior striker on paper, but there were examples, look at this. There were examples of, look at what he's doing right here. Here is Jackson in Punk's guard. Now, Punk was actually punching up from his back rather than trying to set up a triangle or something like that. But Jackson was kind of clowning him. Like he's completely postured up. He's doing the look away.
You haven't had that ability
punch.
to do that.
Well, and especially in this setting.
Yeah.
You're
just not that good, and you haven't accomplished shit. You got to be,
Yeah, I think it's...
When Cody Garbrandt is poking at you like he was in the fight with...
TJ? Or
Dominic Cruz.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's earned that ability to go ahead and clown and be funny, and you know what I mean. He's a respectable fight. His skill level has earned it to where not that he can't catch you, but when you're at this level, it's like just stick in there and fight and do the moves. You know what I mean?
Here's where I think you've got to draw a line on that: are you doing that at the expense of finishing the fight?
Yeah.
Now I know what you're.
Yeah, because you're absolutely right. Actually, so I stand corrected because. Anderson Silva, remember when he fought Damian Maia? And there was a lot of, it that fight? A lot of clowning.
A lot of it.
And it was like, dude, get in there and fucking fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think at that point, I remember, did Dana get up and leave?
Yeah.
I think he wouldn't even.
He threw the belt to Ed Soares before the decision was announced. He just tossed it to him and walked away from the cage.
So even Anderson, who at his peak, I still think is probably one of the greatest MMA fighters of 100%. All time. As far as shit, man, he cleaned out the division. You know what I mean? When he did it, at some point, you're right. There can be some, but how Garbrandt did it in his fight, it was like it added to it. It was part of the strategy. Like it screwed with Dominic.
Yeah,
caused Dominic not to fight the way he fights. He was like, I'm gonna, and then. Cody used it very intelligently. I was impressed. I'm like, wow, that's we were talking. Who was the head coach there again?
Which
at that point,
Garbrandt?
Yeah.
You're talking about Justin Buchholz.
Yeah.
Team Alpha.
I was extremely impressed with Buchholz in there. I even said that. I was like, hey, you guys did that on purpose. Like that was part of the game plan. Huh? He goes, yeah. I'm like, dude, that was fucking clever. Very smart. Where Anderson was kind of like. Dude, fucking fight, man! Like,
just finish him.
Just get in there, get him.
There was no moment like that where you're like, okay, clearly this fighter's
I'm like, dude, you're
wasting
our fucking time. Or just tell us you're gonna do this, so I know when it's time to go buy a beer. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let me know. It's like, all right, you're gonna do this for the next 3 or 4 minutes, so we can go hit the head. Yeah,
and to that point, Jackson was talking in his post-fight comments about what he wanted to do next in the UFC, and after the fight. Dana White basically said, I don't think there's going to be a next. You're done here. So
if you can't finish.
Yeah.
Look, I'm trying not to be an asshole here. I respect the fact that CM Punk as an athlete had aspired to want to train in martial arts. He exposed himself. He put himself out there in a way that a lot of other athletes that have accomplished what he has in life, he didn't have to do it. I'm pretty sure he's monetarily sound enough unless he's a fucking moron, which I don't really get that impression.
Seems like a very smart guy.
Seems like a smart guy. So, I respect that aspect of his warrior spirit, that at this stage of his life, he wanted to go ahead and go out there. And did he take advantage of his fame to get a spot in the UFC to do so? Yeah, that's fucking life, guys. People take advantage of what, but he earned that. It wasn't like he's Dana's nephew and that's why he got to fucking get the fight. Like, because of his accolades in the pro wrestling world, which he earned those accolades, he built up that fan base. He gets opportunities that a lot of nobody else is fucking going to get unless it's, Brad Pitt or somebody who goes, hey, I want to fight. Well, you're going to get a spot in the UFC. That being said, if you're a UFC fighter and you can't finish CM Punk, you probably shouldn't be a UFC level,
exactly.
Bellator level, ACB.
Right.
You're probably not in one of the top premier leagues if you can't finish a guy with his skill set.
And you know who handled it correctly was Mickey Gall in the first CM Punk fight.
He walked right through him.
And look at what Mickey Gall's doing now. Mickey Gall's a legit fighter in the UFC. And, would it have been more impressive if his first win would have come over somebody more experienced than CM Punk? Sure. But Mickey Gall also took advantage of the opportunity that was in front of him, which was a lot of eyeballs. Everybody's learning his name because he's the first guy that's going to fight CM Punk. Finishes him, and now he's on to a career. Mike Jackson basically treated this in my opinion, like it was way more of an achievement than it was.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying too.
Yeah.
In one hand, hats off.
Yeah.
I know what it takes to be in there and walk in the cage and train for it. The fact that he's done that, I respect CM Punk on that level.
Sure.
There's most assholes in the world will never ever strap a pair of gloves on and walk into a cage and have thousands of people watch them have the opportunity to possibly get their fucking ass handed to them. That takes balls. You know what I mean? It takes balls to go and do it more than once, you know? But he's only so good. He's not on skill set alone. I don't think anybody's going to argue that he earned a shot in the UFC. No, he didn't. He wouldn't make Bellator or ACB. I mean,
no,
we'd have to go down. I mean, the International Fight League. I mean,
if he was doing this on some regional amateur card, not only would nobody have a problem with it, everybody'd be excited to watch him do it. Now, I got to tell you, I'm pulling for him. You know, is watching an older guy who started late and all that kind of. I mean, there's a lot of relatable stuff there, but you can't get away from the fact that that's a spot that. I mean, you look at this undercard. You had Rashad Evans, Clay Guida,
Alistair
Joseph
Overeem.
Benavidez. Well, and I'm talking about the Fight Pass part of it. Overeem fought on the FS1 prelim,
but he still was not on the main card.
Not on the main card, and then with Benavidez, Sergio Pettis, Clay Guida, Rashad Evans, all those guys were on the Fight Pass card.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: you can't. This is an aberration. I mean, you know, it's the only time we've really seen something like this. But I will once again advocate for my invented policy of MMA Hunger Games. What we do is once a year, and it's only one time a year. We will do it no more than once a year. Once a year, a celebrity is granted the opportunity to compete in the UFC. And one time a year only. So you want to do if somebody has an interest, like Demi Lovato trains jiu-jitsu, you want to put her in a female match, that's fine, we can do that. But only once a year. And then when the concept becomes just a little bit stale, here's the hook to freshen it up. We quit informing the celebrity ahead of time. That'll spice it up, right? Hey, that's really cool. They gave me this cage side seat. Boy, wait, what?
What's that shorts you wear? Why are you asking what shorts I wear?
Oh, I get my fight kit.
Is that a large pair of hands you got there? Shaking hands. It's almost kind of like, the guy behind him with the tape measure. Like, why are you fucking measuring me, dude?
Yeah.
What's your reach? What the fuck?
You're still asking questions while the cut man's putting the Vaseline on you.
Like, what kind of, am I doing a commercial? I mean, what the fuck? You going to have me a can of Monster or something? No. Why is that guy looking at me kind of funny?
Oh, that would be awesome.
Well, you know what? Awesome. And I think if you go back in shows before, there was a large part of me that had an issue with the fact that, CM Punk was getting the opportunity to fight there, not because he got to fight, and I always respected the fact that someone wants to step in there, but my mentality is like, well, fuck, man, he took someone else's spot. Yeah. There's somebody else out there who's put in hard work as a fighter, but I've kind of come to terms with that. It's like, well, here's the thing. He wanted to fight. CM Punk is famous because of what he's earned. Once again, it isn't like he's just some fucking trust fund rich kid that, a Paris Hilton type where it's like, well, what the fuck have you done in life?
Yeah.
He could have fought on a regional show or somewhere small, but then what would he have made financially?
Right.
Whereas the way he's looking at it, he goes, well, shit, I could go fight for $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000, or I can go get paid fucking $500,000, whatever the UFC paid him. It's like, well, I'm going to fight either way. I'll go there. And then, so who are you going to fault? The numbers show that people wanted to watch. When he fought last time in Cleveland, more people wanted to watch. Trust me. I think that card had like almost 800,000 buys. It wasn't because of Stipe. Stipe's obviously the martial arts it's accomplished and a world class, going to go down probably as one of the greatest heavyweights. Sorry, fucking Angelo, of the champions of the UFC. But pay-per-view powerhouse, he's not. Whereas CM Punk, even right now, if we did a third fight, CM Punk will probably sell more pay-per-views. Just it's the way it is. So, that's just shit, life, man. Deal with it.
Yeah, and this experience that he's gotten, if he still wants to do something with it, go fight on a regional card. CM Punk.
Because the problem is you can't. Fighting is a two-man sport.
Yeah.
That's now the only issue I do have an issue with is that, well, he's famous and he's done things to get there and have the opportunity. But like the guy Jackson, you gave him an opportunity, and he by far did not earn the opportunity to fight. You know what I mean? Like the guy, nobody of his, I mean, he got a fucking gift.
Yeah.
So if you want to be mad at somebody, be like, oh, dude, that's talk about an undeserving situation.
Yeah.
The Jackson kid got a fucking undeserving situation.
You didn't have an exact parallel to CM Punk, which was a super famous 40-year-old celebrity who wants to fight.
Your ticket is that you sucked bad enough that they thought maybe there was a chance that CM Punk could get a win over you.
Yeah, because what you end up doing is you end up having to have two people in the organization that otherwise wouldn't be there. All right, well, we talked about Alistair Overeem. He got finished by Curtis Blades. Took Blades almost 3 full rounds. In fact, he only had 4 seconds to spare. 2:56 into the third round, Blades TKOs Overeem with some ground and pound. You know, Frank, you and I had talked about how impressed we were with Curtis Blades wrestling, and that was going to be the big story coming into this fight. I think the stat was like he averaged almost 5 times the number of takedowns that Overeem did. Of course, Overeem, one of the most proficient strikers in MMA history. This was his 60th fight, by the way, his 60th MMA fight, Overeem's. But Blades got him to the ground, and once he got him to the ground, imposed his will. And, you know, boy, this is a guy who's going nowhere but up, Curtis Blades. Look at that mess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, skill set wise, what I saw with his fight with Hunt specifically, I mean, he takes a good shot. He has decent striking. It's evolving and developing, but his takedowns, his tenacity, his cardio, his athletic ability, I think that that right now he's probably one of the better opportunities to dethrone Stipe that anybody in the heavyweight division has right now.
Yeah.
If you told me right now, pick somebody in the UFC that might, give Stipe the run for his money, I'm going for him, man. That's the guy. I think that, even right now, if I'm Francis Ngannou, I would be avoiding him like the plague.
Well, there is no doubt that Curtis Blades is working his way toward a heavyweight title shot, and he took another huge step in that direction by defeating Alistair Overeem. I also wanted to make mention of the Claudia Gadelha-Carla Esparza fight. Now, Gadelha got a split decision victory over Esparza 29-28 on 2 of the cards, 28-29 on the third. But I saw Gadelha do something that it was pretty clever what she did in the post-fight comments, because here's what happened. The crowd seemed to think that Esparza won, and so they were booing the decision, right? Did you notice this, Mikey?
Yeah.
They're booing the decision. So Claudia Gadelha gets on the mic and goes, guys, don't boo her. Do not boo her. She fought a heck of a fight. Do not boo her. Well, they weren't booing her. They were booing the decision. But it was pretty clever to just... You don't recognize that. They're booing your decision victory, and you just, guys, do not boo her. Do not boo my opponent. She fought a quality fight. But anyway, Esparza wins this. And what else? Sergio Pettis got a split decision over Joe Benavidez. That was another very close fight. Rashad Evans got knocked out in 53 seconds. I think this is probably going to do it for Rashad. I think that there's been talk of that for quite a while now. And I think Rashad himself was saying that, if I'm not mistaken, that this could be his last fight in the UFC. So might be about time for that. And Charles Oliveira guillotined Clay Guida 2 minutes and 18 seconds into the first round. Boy, Clay Guida, though, nobody can take a loss like Clay Guida. I mean, he sprints to the – how many years have we been watching Clay Guida do this? He sprints to the cage. He's super excited. His big brother's slapping him in the face, getting ready for the fight.
I get tired watching him get to the fight.
Right. He goes in. He looked great. He got caught by Oliveira in a nasty guillotine, popped right back up, and basically said, I can't wait to come back. So it's going to be a sad day when Clay Guida eventually has to leave the octagon, because he may have never won a title or anything. But when you think about kind of early guys who establish themselves as fan favorites, he's one of the first that comes to mind.
Yeah, as far as didn't earn it for being the dominant champion, but just personality and the quality of fighting that he always showed up with.
Yeah.
Always a game guy, in wars every time, high altitude.
In a way like Chris Lieben did.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Lieben was more of a puncher, knockout.
But same thing. Always brought, you had to pack a lunch. You know what I mean?
Right, for sure. All right, let's cover a couple of headlines here because, yeah, I'm actually good. Yeah, we're good. We got a few more minutes. This news today from Dana White, Frank, this involves somebody that you have fought and defeated, taken on somebody that you know and have trained with. Dana White says that when Brock Lesnar's deal with the WWE expires this summer, that Lesnar wants to fight Jon Jones. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think it's a good payday. I mean, it'll be a lot of attention on it. I think a lot of people will question whether the size of Brock will be able to overrun the ability of Jon, but it won't. Jon, even if they had a wrestling match right now, Jon's the better wrestler. Yes, he gives up size, but reach, and skill sets as far as, hands, feet, and just overall. I mean, Jon is one of the greatest fighters in MMA, There's nothing that Jon does inside the cage that can ever put into doubt his abilities. I mean, the only thing is he shot himself in the foot multiple times.
Yeah.
So far, he hasn't actually shot himself in the foot. But if someone's going to shoot themselves in the foot, it would be Jon.
Right.
We're going to hear that fight. I was cleaning my rifle. It's fucking Jon.
Well, you know what that fight makes me think of just off the top of my head is I don't think Brock Lesnar particularly enjoys getting hit. And remember the way that Alistair Overeem kind of beat him into retirement with the body shots?
Yeah.
Remember that? Like, I could kind of see a similar outcome where Jones keeps that fight standing, uses that not only...
Trust me, though. It would not surprise me if Jon came out there, punched him, kicked him, established that you can't get past my strikes, I can hit you at will. And then when Brock comes in trying to grab him... Jon takes him down.
Just to show
that he can. I mean, he did it against Cormier, and Cormier's a higher accomplished wrestler as far as collegiately and internationally, than Brock was. Brock was a very good college wrestler, but on an international and freestyle level, never competed at the level that even Daniel competed at, and Jon took him down, and couldn't be taken down by DC. I say this, I've said it on multiple occasions. I had talked about to Cael Sanderson about Jon, Cael was looking to recruit him to bring him over when Jon was coming out of junior college, and. He goes, I worked with him. He came to my house. He had dinner. He goes, that guy would be an Olympic gold medalist. Heavyweight, Olympic gold medalist. He goes, that's him right there. Why didn't you recruit him? And he was like, well, there's other factors. That was all he said at the time, and this was, fucking 7 or 8 years ago. And obviously those other factors are things that have come to fruition now that we all see. But Cael Sanderson, just being the guy from Utah, Mormon guy, he doesn't have it in him to ever say anything disparagingly about anybody. So it wasn't like he's like, well, I don't think I could control him. I think that he would get in trouble outside. He didn't say anything of that situation. He was just like, well, there's other factors. That was his explanation. I was like, oh, he's that good of a wrestler? He goes, absolutely. He goes, I could have made him a gold medalist. He'd have been multiple-time NCAA champion.
Wow.
That's the level of ability he had.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know how if what else has to be cleared out of the way for that. I guess at that point, Jones is clear to fight, and they'd have to re-sign Brock and all that kind of thing.
Oh, Jon would take it. I mean, that's a big payday.
Oh, yeah.
Huge payday.
Sure. And you know what? Honestly, too, in Jon's case...
And a least dangerous fight, than some of the other guys that Jon...
And,
light heavyweight. Who is it light heavyweight for him? I mean, I think that's a less dangerous fight than fighting Gustafsson. I mean, fighting Gus again. I mean, if there was ever a fight that as Jon's friend that I'm always a little nervous about is that Gus fight, man. That's still that out of all Jon's fights.
Very true.
That's the one guy that I'm like stylistically because of his height and his movement and his, and especially after watching when Gus fought more recently against the other really tough Brazilian that hits like a mother. Glover Teixeira.
Oh, right.
He's even gotten better since he fought Jon last time. I'm like, shit, man. That guy is really good.
Yeah, and also, too, here's something to consider. Jones could benefit from a marketing standpoint having the marketing juggernaut of the name of Brock Lesnar, because, with Jones, when we talk about the most dominant fighters of the era, Jones is one of these guys that, and largely because of, his own shortcomings and then these periods of inactivity whenever something goes south with him, that he's not, for as great of a fighter as he's been, he's not one of the most marketable fighters. Not when you talk to the average person on the street, and you're naming names to see who they know. So he's actually a guy, as crazy as it sounds, that could benefit from having a huge, marquee name to the casual fan like Brock Lesnar.
Well, I wish John, and I gave him this advice when I was training at Jackson's 5 years ago. Just be himself, man. Just, you can exaggerate certain parts of your personality. Like when you see me talk and I'm marketing in a fight, it's not really, that is not my true 100% who I am.
Yeah.
It's an exaggeration of certain aspects of my personality. But it's not fabricated. I'm not acting.
Right.
That isn't like I'm playing a role. It's like, just like everybody, you have those days where you feel kind of cocky, or you have those days you're kind of sad. There's different parts of everybody's personality. And just when I'm marketing a fight, I know what parts of my personality look better on camera, and so I push those to the forefront. The problem is I think that the fans, and this is the problem Daniel Cormier kind of runs into too, they sense when something's just completely fabricated. Like, DC's a good dude.
Yep.
He's, you know what? The guy's the captain of the wrestling team. He's the guy that you want your daughter to go ahead and go, hey, I'm going on a date with that guy. You're like, oh, okay. That guy can take you out. I'm okay with this. You know what I mean? So for Daniel to try to act like the bad guy, boo, ha, 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 it's like, oh, it's fucking painful to watch. He looks stupid doing it. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you're not him. You're not that guy. The fans can feel it. That's why there's a little bit of, that's why even when him and John fight each other, fans kind of dislike Daniel. They're like, man, this guy's a faker. You know what I mean? Just he rubs them the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's like, just go out being you. Let people either like you or dislike you, but based upon who you are. Nothing's worse, really, in that situation of being somebody you're not and then having people hate you. Because then you can sit there and go, it's like going on a date with a girl, pretending to be somebody you're not, and then the girl goes, I really don't like you. Like, oh, fuck, what do you like? You're like, oh, no, you really would have liked the real me. That's frustrating. Whereas if you act like yourself and someone goes, yeah, you're not my cup of tea, I don't like you, I can live with that. Not everybody's for everybody. That's just fucking life. You can't please the whole world. Fucking, that's just not the way it works. And John is a little, obviously, is a fucking, is a wild child, man. The guy has a fucking streak to him.
Yeah, he does the opposite thing.
Yeah, so he tries to act like this, Corinthians and, all things through God. It's like, hey, buddy, everybody can smell through it, dude. Like, they're looking at you like, be you. You like to party. You're able to only train 3 or 4 days a fucking week and still kick everybody's fucking ass. Just be that guy. You know what I mean? Like, obviously you got a wife and kids. You don't have to be crazy about it. You know what I mean? Like, keep a little bit under, but you can't completely pull a 180 with the crowd and sit there and go, oh no, I'm home every night at 8 o'clock reading the fucking Bible. It's like, and then, they see you in the news. You're like, dude, you're running hookers over on the fucking street, running out and there's fucking drugs flying over the place. It's like, yeah, no, bullshit. You know what I mean? But if you're just like, hey, man, I'm a young, successful guy. I like to party. I'm out there. Hey, when it's time to fight, I show up and fight, though. And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Well, guess what? You're going to have a group of people that like you, and they're going to like you for who you really are. People that fucking hate you. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's maybe the hardest thing and it also shows you, too, as high level as some people are in certain aspects of their life, like in this case, athleticism, how really insecure people can be about the individuals that they are and having the security to just be yourself, like you said. See, I would have the opposite ability. I would have no athletic ability, but I would be very secure in my my ability to just, own it, to just own what I am. So... Anyway, wouldn't be much fun to watch on fight night, but I could, like, the press conference. I mean, you're right. Rather than just do the try to play the supervillain like Cormier, I would love to see the person like Chael had the great ability of passive aggression. Like, he was good in the trash talk with Jones. But I would look at somebody like Jon Jones and go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to kick your ass, and then I'm going to give you a ride home because I think your license is still suspended.
Yeah, but I mean, that smart ass, quick wit is his personality.
Yes,
There's a part of Chael
yes.
that he can be a dick. He
Yes.
can be he's that guy that'll bust your balls. And so what he's done is he's made a career off of just focusing on busting your balls publicly.
Yeah.
And being funny about it, and just in deadpan look you in the face and be like, I'm not laughing. I'm not joking. It's like, we all know you're fucking around, but he's just that guy that, frat boyish, almost like, fucking screw with you,
and talked himself into some big paydays because of it too.
But it is still who he is.
That's
a part
right.
of him.
That's right.
Is it
It's
all
genuine.
he is? No.
Yeah.
I've sat and hung out with him. He's a super nice guy. On top of that, there's other aspects to his personality.
Yeah.
So it's not made up. Whereas
when we, the second biggest, I think the biggest fight of his life, he had Jon Jones and Anderson Silva, but probably right below that would be matching up against me in Combat Name That Tune. But I can tell you that when we were doing that bit, he was genuinely enjoying like the shit talking. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff I could tell he was enjoying what I was saying.
He really wanted to take your arm.
Yeah.
When he sat there and grabbed your rib, I'm like, oh. The way when he pivoted and the way he spun when he threw his leg over your head from the back, I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. We were talking about that with Big John. That last sequence was a pretty serious armbar. In fact, I don't know.
You got a little injured off of it.
I took a good picture. I had a really ugly looking mark on my
gene burn. Was
my
it?
bicep. Yeah, it was really kind of a bruise, but anyway,
I thought maybe
put that on our social media. Yeah. Well, anyway, you know what? I'll offer him a rematch at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to take it. Be fucking careful, but we got to make sure we get over to Drysdale's. Keep your skills up, because
absolutely.
I don't know. He definitely wasn't throwing any. I think the first one was a little bit of a softball.
Yeah.
Second one, he was playing baseball. Third one, he threw some heat, man.
Yeah,
It was coming for you.
Yeah, he definitely did. I can't remember. I think it was like Paint It Black by the Stones or something, but I couldn't get it out of my mouth fast enough to get him to
I was just thinking, there goes my backpack guy. No! How can you get things out?
That's right.
Just hang it over the arm.
That's right. He's with the weigh-ins the next day. All right, Frank, tell them about that Amazon banner at the front of phoneboothfighting.com, will you?
Well, it's one of the easiest ways to help us out here at the show. When you click on phoneboothfighting.com, there will be an Amazon banner. If you click on that, it's a portal to the Amazon page. You can do all your shopping for your wants and needs at no extra charge to you. A small percentage will come back here at the show to help us out.
And also tell them how to follow us on social media.
Well, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, it's Phone Booth Fighting. If you're on Snapchat or Twitter, it's Phone Booth Fight.
That's going to do it for tonight. Now, I will tell you that if all things go according to plan, and I anticipate they will, that on Thursday's show, joining us here in studio will be the triumphant return of UFC Women's Flyweight Jessica Rose Clark. I don't think we have ever gotten as positive of a response of having a guest in studio as we did Jessica Rose Clark.
She's definitely one of the dudes.
She was fantastic. Our listener, she could just hang with wherever the conversation went. She was charming. Our listeners loved her. I know we're very big in Australia. She, of course, is an Aussie herself, so that will factor into it. And the funny thing about it is you will be in Australia, but joining us via Skype.
Yep.
So we're going to so the second show of this week is for you Australians. Between the in-studio appearance of Jessica Rose Clark, she'll be up here for the duration of the show. We'll have Frank actually over in Brisbane, Australia, via Skype, and we'll get more into what he's doing over there then. But anyway, she'll be back with us, and very excited to have her back. I know she's excited to be back. And Mikey will be back with us too, right? Because there's no porn being shot right now, and right?
There's always porn. Come on.
My boss had to move because of Frank's non-paying porn habit.
Damn it. Damn it.
Look,
see, there
you know
you're
what,
causing
okay, hold on.
to lose
I'm
jobs.
glad Mrs. Muir doesn't listen to this fucking
Right.
thing. I've thought it out.
Okay.
Okay, because she obviously watches all the bills. She knows if I were to put my credit card down on any of the, porn sites. But a couple of my sons like, hey, a year-long membership, one-time fee of $140. I'm like, that is worth it for how much pornography. Anyways.
You just got to hide one bill from
Well, no. Prepaid credit card.
Oh, you go to
that
Walmart
would work, right?
Yeah. We'll go ahead and just put $200 down, get that prepaid.
Yeah.
Go ahead and put that number in there. No paper trail.
That's a good one. What does an annual Jurassic Cock membership run, Mikey? Roughly, what do you think?
I don't know what our annual, probably like $49 or $99.
Oh, that's a great
that's it.
deal.
I thought I saw something that was
I think because they give you a discount if you buy a year.
I saw that as a year because they had like Naughty America, Brazzers. There was all kinds of good ones.
All right, well, prepaid card, and then of course also
or maybe they could sponsor
yeah.
They're like, we sponsored the show. They're like, Frank's right arm is starting to look quite developed.
Mikey was also working a lot of the Golden Knights games too, right? And then that came to. Let me tell you, this is an example of how if you don't know this from listening to the show previously, I follow combat sports. I know MMA, I know boxing. I know little to nothing about any other sport that's not a combat sport. So let me give you an example. These Golden Knights have been playing this hockey here in our hometown of Las Vegas, right? I knew they were in the playoffs, but the other night I looked on, I don't know, it was CNN.com or something like that, and the headline was the Washington team had beaten the Capitals had beaten the Golden Knights for the Stanley Cup. Now, here's what happened in my mind. I went, oh, no, they're not in that yet. Like, somebody's going to get fired at the website because they accidentally put up that they won the Stanley Cup, and then they're going to pull that down. I was shocked, I tell you, to find out that the Golden Knights were even competing for the Stanley Cup at this point.
So is everybody else.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, expansion team, taking players that nobody else wanted, putting them together. I was having this conversation with somebody else where they were talking about basically what they did this season is going to cause other GMs from around the country to lose their jobs. Because basically, if you're an owner, you're going to look and go, hey, wait a minute.
How'd you do that?
These guys, with the misfits that no one else wanted, basically, put together a team that had a winning schedule, set franchise records for, an opening area. Not only did they make the playoffs, went to the Stanley Cup, and looked competitive the first game. The first game that came out, it was...
Yeah, we won the first game.
It was a phenomenal shootout. Like, I was watching, it was like, I think it ended up being 4-6.
I think it was 5-6. Or no, I think we got to open an empty.
So it was 4-6. It was 4-5. They pulled their goalie the last minute, and then we, blocked the shot and were able to, open net. And so they're like, well, if these guys can do it, then why? We're actually you're working. Here, let's say you're the general manager of the Ducks. Be like, hey, wait a minute. You actually got to pick the players you have. We're paying these guys top dollar, and how many teams didn't make the playoffs? Yeah. You're like, holy shit! There are some people that are gonna, that are probably sweating bullets right now.
Well, the thing about it is, and I even surprised myself that I was unaware that the Stanley Cup was being contested at that point in my own adopted hometown. But I will tell you this, and I stand by this, that those Golden Knights could have me interested if they weren't golden. This drives me crazy.
We're the Silver State?
Well, no, there's just nothing golden about a knight. And
it's Vegas.
Well,
money.
No, here's still a complete non sequitur. Now, here's what I was explained to me by someone, that apparently the guy who owns the team went to West Point. And I guess West Point, they're the golden something or another's.
Yeah.
And that he's owned several other things, and that he always makes them the golden something as some sort of homage to his alma mater.
Well, at least there's a legitimate reason for why.
But it doesn't make sense. So
does any team name make sense?
Yeah. If you're you can be the Las Vegas Knights, and you got a guy. I know what a knight is. You got a guy in a suit of armor, and that's you're done. What you're doing is you're forcing in a non sequitur. So it'd be like this: if I say I went to University of Texas, which I did briefly, but they're the Longhorns, so I get to be rich and I buy an NHL team. Well, we're going to have the Las Vegas Knights, but I'm a University of Texas Longhorn, so they're going to be the Bovine Knights. That doesn't make any sense. I'm just forcing a cattle reference into the otherwise medieval concept of what we're doing with the knight. And here's another thing. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Mikey. I saw a picture of some rally they were having or something, like a pep rally. Mm-hmm. I think they had some mascot that was like a snake.
He's a Gila monster. He's Chance.
What is he?
Chance, he's a Gila monster. The lizard?
Yeah.
But we have he's like the fun mascot for the kids, because the whole thing was hockey in the desert. So he's kind of representation of the desert. And then we also have a guy in a night costume,
Okay.
in a suit of armor.
Well,
No, see, I saw that guy. I've only been to one game
well,
this
that's
season.
Yeah.
Give me.
I saw the guy in the
right.
night costume.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
goes up and down, and he.
Yeah.
That's
I didn't
good.
see the Gila monster.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, give me the guy in the suit of armor, but don't force a reptile on me. This is not part of the concept. Are we pulling up a picture of him?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, right there,
Chance
Chance the Gila monster.
is his name. Huh? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
That's for the kids. That's kind of ugly looking.
That's a little frightening.
Yeah, right. Almost like
No.
raw. That's,
and you know, when I think of,
I can see a 5-year-old having nightmares about that motherfucker.
and when I think of all the Gila monster
This
reference,
is our.
Yeah,
That
that
guy.
He does all the pregame like theatric, like skate the little show before the game. He's out on the ice battling the bad guy and everything.
trying to joust him.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the issue. We're going to be knights. We're going to adopt the medieval theme. This guy's in, but when I think of all the Gila monster references back in King Arthur's court, I come up with exactly zero. Zero.
We or not we, but I guess I was part of the crew. So we there's a thing like we did a video and put it up on the Jumbotron, and we the read mean tweet things.
Yeah.
Basically did that, and most of them are about Chance and how he makes no sense.
Yeah.
So at least-
okay.
at
Good.
least we
Good.
own it.
Thank you for fighting the good fight, Mikey. And you know what? I'm just telling these Golden Knights they've got a chance to get all this sorted out. Chance, pun intended, to get all this sorted out before next season if they want to bring me in. So this guy loses his job, and then we drop the golden part of it. No adjectives with the Knights.
The
Just
Golden Knights. It always kind of makes me think of like the situation like what Trump had.
Oh yes. Yes.
Golden Knight.
The
Drop the K, and all of a sudden, it's a very interesting conversational piece.
all right, or that. You know what? If they'll agree,
Which
to
happens
do that,
quite a bit in Vegas. Right,
they'll-
where the whole word happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
they'll agree to do that, then maybe they'll have me there as well. I actually worked with a comedian a couple of weeks ago who had a great joke about this. He's like, you need to name them something appropriate to the city, so you should call them the Las Vegas resort fees, because that's what's paying for all of this nonsense. All right, there's a little bonus content for you. Frank's already gotten the social media plugs out of the way and all that, so we'll just bid you adieu, and we'll let you know that we'll be back later this week with Jessica Rose Clark in studio and Frank from Brisbane, Australia. PhoneBoothFighting.com is the website. For Mikey, for Frank Mir, I'm Richard Hunter. We'll see you right back here next time on Phone Booth Fighting.